When rescuers found 8-year-old Emily Morrison in the Alaskan wilderness 8 days after the crash, she was alive, barely, curled beneath a makeshift shelter, her small hand buried in the thick fur of a husky with mismatched eyes. The dog's body was impossibly warm, burning with fever, as if it had absorbed all the cold meant for her. They found the emergency supplies, the small fire still smoldering, evidence of survival against impossible odds. What they didn't find was Emily's father. No body, no tracks leading away, just blood-soaked snow and a shattered phone playing voice messages on a loop, a father's last words to his daughter, time-stamped and dated. Messages recorded on day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. Days after the medical examiner would later swear Jack Morrison had already been dead. Messages that spoke of a dog named Ghost, of miracles appearing from nowhere, of love that refuses to let go. And when they tried to find that dog 3 months later, the husky that had kept Emily alive, that had stayed by her hospital bed through recovery, he simply vanished, gone from a locked room with no open doors, no open windows. Gone like he was never real at all. Except for the warmth he left behind, the fur still clutched in Emily's hand, and the new star she sees every night beside Orion, a star that seems to burn with two colors. One blue, one brown. Like mismatched eyes watching over her from the darkness. This is the story of what happened in those 8 days, of a father's promise, of a ghost in the white, and of the thin, mysterious line between life and death when love is the only thing left burning in the frozen dark. The Cessna 172's engine had been coughing for the last 20 minutes, each sputter sending ice through Jack Morrison's veins. He'd flown this route between Fairbanks and Nome dozens of times, but never in January, never with weather turning this fast. Beside him, 8-year-old Emily hummed softly, her headphones playing something he couldn't hear, oblivious to the tremor in his hands on the yoke. "Daddy, look," she pointed down at the endless white below, where mountains rose like frozen waves. "It's like we're flying over clouds." Jack tried to smile. "Yeah, baby, just like clouds." Then the engine died. Not sputtered, not coughed, died sudden and absolute as a stopped heart. The silence was horrifying. Emily's headphones slipped off, and in that terrible quiet Jack heard his daughter's breathing quicken. He didn't look at her. Couldn't. His hands moved on muscle memory, switching fuel tanks, adjusting mixture, hitting the starter. Nothing. The propeller windmilled uselessly in the Arctic air. "Daddy." "Put your head down, Em, between your knees, just like we practiced." "But we never." "Now, Emily." His voice cracked like ice underfoot. She obeyed, tucking her dark curls between her knees, and Jack Morrison, devoted father, careful pilot, man who'd promised his late wife he'd keep their daughter safe, watched the white earth rush up to meet them. The crash was violence and noise and the smell of aviation fuel. Metal screamed. Jack's head struck something. Emily's scream cut through everything, high and piercing, and then there was only the wind, howling through torn aluminum. Jack came to with blood in his mouth and Emily crying. That was good. Crying meant breathing, meant alive. He tried to move and agony shot through his left leg. Broken, definitely broken, maybe worse. He forced his eyes open. The Cessna had come to rest belly down in a narrow valley between two ridges. The right wing was crumpled, the windscreen spiderwebbed with cracks. Through it, Jack saw nothing but white. White sky, white ground, white air thick with falling snow. His voice was hoarse. "Emily, honey, talk to me." "Daddy, I'm scared." She was still strapped in, still hunched forward. Blood trickled from a cut above her left eye. "I know, baby, I know, but we're okay, we're going to be okay." The lie tasted like copper. "Can you move? Does anything hurt?" She sat up slowly, testing her arms, her legs. The cut was superficial. Head wounds always bled like murder. Otherwise, miraculously, she seemed intact. 8 years old and already tougher than her old man. My arm hurts a little, and my head. That's normal. You're doing great, Em. So great. Jack tried to unfasten his seatbelt, and the movement sent white-hot pain shooting from his leg up through his spine. He gasped, bit back a curse. Daddy. I'm fine, just give Daddy a second. He wasn't fine. His left leg was trapped under the collapsed instrument panel, bent at an angle that made his stomach turn. When he finally looked down, he saw bone white against red, compound fracture, maybe an hour before shock set in if he was lucky, maybe less. The first rule of survival: assess your situation. They were down in the Alaskan wilderness in January. Temperature outside was probably 20 below, maybe worse with wind chill. The ELT, the emergency locator transmitter, should have activated on impact, should be broadcasting their position. But even if it was working, even if someone heard it, rescue could take days in weather like this. Days they didn't have. Jack forced himself to think, to plan. The cold was already seeping in through the broken windscreen. Emily was in jeans and a winter coat, good enough for Fairbanks, not good enough for this. He wore even less. Em, there's an emergency kit behind your seat. Red canvas bag. Can you reach it? She twisted around, small hands fumbling in the cramped space. Got it. Good girl, now there should be a space blanket in there. Silver looks like tinfoil, wrap it around yourself. While she worked, Jack took stock. His phone was in his jacket pocket, cracked screen but somehow still working. No signal, of course no signal, but he could record on it, could leave. No, he pushed that thought away. They were going to make it, both of them. The fuel smell was getting stronger. Emily, I need you to be brave now, okay? I need you to get out of the plane. Her eyes went wide. Without you. I'm right behind you, but the door's on your side and I need you to open it and climb out. Can you do that? She looked at him for a long moment, this child who had his wife's eyes, his wife's courage, and nodded. The door was jammed at first, but small hands and panic strength forced it open. Emily tumbled out into knee-deep snow. Jack used the distraction to look at his leg again. The panel had it pinned completely. He grabbed the metal with both hands and pulled. Fresh blood welled up, hot against the cold. The panel didn't move. He pulled harder, harder. Pain exploded behind his eyes, and for a moment the world went gray. When it came back, Emily was calling from outside, her voice nearly lost in the wind. The smell of fuel was overwhelming now. Jack looked at his leg, then at the emergency kit, then at the lighter in the cup holder, the one he kept for the camping stove. The one he'd promised his wife he'd never use for cigarettes again, because they had a daughter to raise. Some promises you kept. Some promises got broken in pieces of torn aluminum and frozen blood. He grabbed his phone, thumbed it on, found the voice recorder. Emily, he said into the speaker, his voice steady in a way it had no right to be. Emily, if you're hearing this, it means Daddy didn't make it out. But you did, baby, you did, and that's what matters. His throat tried to close, he forced words through it. I need you to remember you are strong, you are brave, you are loved. Your mama and I, we made you out of love, Em, that's what you're made of. And love doesn't die, not really, not ever. He stopped the recording, started another. To whoever finds this, my daughter's name is Emily Morrison, she's 8. We crashed, he checked his watch. January 14th around 2 p.m. Coordinates should be on the ELT. Please, find her, please. He tucked the phone in his jacket's inner pocket, against his heart. Then Jack Morrison took the emergency kit and threw it out into the snow where Emily could reach it. He took the lighter and held it up to the tear in the fuel line he could now smell more than see. Emily, he shouted, run, get away from the plane, run. He didn't see if she obeyed. He was already moving, using his arms to drag himself backward, his ruined legs screaming, the lighter's flame catching. The Cessna exploded with a roar that swallowed all other sound. Jack woke to firelight in agony. He was lying in snow 10 feet from the burning wreckage, his leg twisted wrong, his jacket smoking. Emily was trying to drag him further from the flames, her small face streaked with tears and soot. "Daddy, wake up, please wake up." "I'm awake," he managed. "I'm awake, baby." The explosion had thrown him clear. The impact had probably saved his life, probably also broken 3 more things. His left arm wouldn't respond properly. His ribs felt like glass shards grinding together with each breath. But he was alive, and so was Emily. The plane burned bright against the gathering darkness. Heat rolled off it in waves. It wouldn't last. The fire would consume everything useful and then die, leaving them with nothing but wreckage and cold. "Help me sit up," Jack said. Together they managed it. He leaned back against a boulder, his legs stretched out in front of him. The bone had gone back under the skin when the panel released, but the flesh was mangled, blood soaking through his pants. "The emergency kit," he said. "Where is it?" "Here." She dragged it over. Inside, 2 space blankets, waterproof matches, a signal mirror, protein bars, a small first aid kit, and a flare gun with 3 flares. Jack had packed it himself 5 years ago, had checked it every 6 months, had never imagined he'd need it like this. "Okay," he said, trying to sound confident. "Okay, we can work with this." The first aid kit had gauze and tape, nothing for a compound fracture. Jack did what he could, packing the wound, wrapping it tight while Emily watched with huge eyes. Then he found 2 straight pieces of debris from the crash and splinted the leg as best he could. By the time he finished, the fire was dying and night was falling, and the temperature was dropping like a stone. "We need shelter," Jack said. "The plane's useless now, but we need something." Emily pointed. "There's a big tree over there, with branches that go down to the ground." Evergreen, spruce maybe, branches heavy with snow forming a natural cave around the trunk. It was something. "Can you walk, Em?" "Yes." "Then you'll have to help me." It took 15 minutes to cover 20 yards. Jack hopped on one leg, Emily supporting his weight as much as an 8-year-old could, the pain so intense he had to stop twice to vomit. But they made it. They pushed through the snow-heavy branches into a space that was almost warm compared to outside, almost sheltered. Jack spread one space blanket on the ground, wrapped the other around both of them. He held Emily close, feeling her shiver against him. "Are we going to die?" she asked. The question hung in the darkness. "No," Jack said. "No, baby. Someone heard our emergency signal. They're coming. We just have to wait." "How long?" "Not long. A day, maybe 2. 3 at most," his mind whispered. 3 before the cold or dehydration or infection killed him. Maybe 4 for Emily if she was lucky. "I'm cold, Daddy." "I know, here." He rubbed her arms, her back generating friction warmth. "Tell me a story. Tell me about school." She talked, about her teacher, Ms. Rodriguez, about her friend Maya who had a new puppy, about the winter concert where she'd sung Let It Snow and forgotten the words halfway through. Normal things, human things, life things. Jack listened and felt his body betraying him cell by cell. The second day, Jack woke to find Emily building a small fire from dead branches she'd scavenged. She'd used the waterproof matches from the kit, had remembered to clear the snow down to dirt first. "Look, Daddy, I made fire." Pride swelled in his chest. "That's my girl, that's my brilliant girl." He taught her to melt snow for water, taught her to keep the fire small to conserve fuel. His leg was swollen now, hot to the touch even in the freezing air, infection setting in. He had maybe a day before fever took him, maybe less. "Em, I need you to listen carefully. If Daddy gets too sick to help, I need you to stay here. Stay warm, stay by the fire. Someone will come." "Don't talk like that." "Emily." No, tears sprang to her eyes. "You said we'd be okay, you promised." He hadn't promised, had been careful not to promise, but children heard what they needed to hear. "You're right," he said softly. "I'm sorry, we'll be fine." That night his fever spiked. He recorded more voice messages while Emily slept, his voice slurring. Remember the stars? How we'd lie in the backyard and I'd show you Orion. He's still there, baby, still hunting, still bright. You find him, you remember Daddy's up there too, watching over you. Don't be afraid of the dark, Em. Your mama wasn't. She'd say darkness is just the world resting, getting ready for more light. I love you, baby girl, I love you so much. More than all the stars, more than. He didn't remember stopping the recording. ACT3, The Ghost. On the third morning, Jack didn't wake up. Emily shook him, called his name, pressed her cold hands to his burning face. He breathed, shallow, ragged breaths, but his eyes didn't open. She tried to give him water. It dribbled down his chin. The fire had gone out during the night. Emily was alone. She rebuilt the fire. Her hands shook so badly it took 6 matches, but she got it lit. Then she sat beside her father and cried. That's when she saw it. At first she thought it was a wolf, a shape moving through the white, low and lean and silent. Emily froze, her breath catching. Wolves ate people. Everyone knew that. But as it came closer, she saw it wasn't a wolf. It was a dog, a husky, gray and white, with one blue eye and one brown. Its fur was matted with ice, frost clinging to its muzzle. It moved with purpose, head low, intelligent eyes fixed on her. The dog stopped at the edge of their shelter. Emily stared. The dog stared back. "Are you lost too?" she whispered. The husky's tail moved, just once. Then it came forward, pushing through the branches, and lay down in the snow beside Jack. It looked at Emily with those strange, mismatched eyes, and something passed between them, an understanding deeper than words. "I'm Emily," she said. "That's my daddy, he's sick." The dog pressed its nose to Jack's face, breathed in his scent. Then it turned and looked at Emily again, and in that look was something ancient and knowing. "Ghost," Emily said suddenly. "I'll call you Ghost, because you came out of nowhere." Ghost's tail thumped once against the snow. That afternoon, Ghost left. Emily panicked, called after him, but the husky vanished into the white as silently as he'd appeared. She was alone again with her unconscious father and the dying fire and the cold pressing in from all sides. She checked Jack's leg. It was worse, purple and swollen, streaked with red lines climbing toward his knee. She didn't know what that meant, but she knew it was bad. "Please wake up," she whispered. "Please, Daddy, please." Jack's breathing changed. For one terrible moment she thought it had stopped. Then he gasped, coughed, and his eyes cracked open. Daddy," she threw herself against him. "You're awake." Barely. His voice was a thread. "How long?" "All day. Daddy, there's a dog. He came and then he left, but—" "A dog?" Jack's fevered mind couldn't make sense of it. "There shouldn't be dogs out here. Shouldn't be anything. Sometimes when people are sick, they see." Ghost pushed back through the branches. In his mouth was a snowshoe hare, fresh killed, still warm. Jack stared. Emily clapped her hand. "See, I told you, that's Ghost." The husky dropped the hare at Emily's feet. Then he came to Jack and lay down beside him, the length of his body pressed against Jack's left side. Heat radiated from the dog's fur, blessed, beautiful heat. "Well," Jack said softly, "hello, Ghost." The husky's tail thumped. Emily had never skinned a rabbit before, but Ghost seemed to understand. He tore the hide open with his teeth, showing her where to cut with the small knife from the emergency kit. Together, child and animal, united in purpose, they prepared the meat. It cooked badly over the small fire, half burned and half raw, but it was food. Real food. Emily ate until her stomach hurt. She tried to give some to Jack, but he could only manage a few bites before nausea forced him to stop. Ghost got the rest. He deserved it. That night, as darkness fell and the temperature plunged toward 30 below, Ghost lay between them. Emily curled against his back on one side, Jack pressed against him on the other. The dog's warmth was impossible, too much heat for one animal, as if he contained his own small son. Jack's fever broke in the night. He woke in gray pre-dawn light to find Emily asleep, her small hand buried deep in Ghost's thick fur. The dog was awake, those strange eyes watching him. "Thank you," Jack whispered. Ghost's tail moved, but he didn't get up, didn't disturb the sleeping child. Jack reached for his phone. The screen was more cracked now, the battery at 3%, but it still worked. He recorded another message. "Day 4, maybe 5. I've lost track. Em's okay. She's strong. She's so strong. There's a dog here. Don't ask me where he came from. I don't know, but he's keeping her alive, keeping us both alive." He paused. "If you're hearing this, Emily, remember, miracles happen. Sometimes they look like wolves. Sometimes they come out of nowhere. Sometimes they're exactly what you need exactly when you need it. That's grace, baby. That's love showing up." The phone died as he finished speaking. Days blurred together. Jack would surface from fever dreams to find Ghost gone and Emily tending the fire. Then the dog would return with food, another hare, a ptarmigan, once a squirrel, small miracles in fur and flesh. Emily talked to Ghost like he understood. Maybe he did. "My daddy's going to die, isn't he?" she said one afternoon while Jack slept. Ghost looked at her with his odd eyes. "I'm not supposed to know, but I do. I heard him stop breathing last night, just for a second. Then he started again, but it's getting worse." Ghost leaned against her, solid and warm. "Will you stay with me, even after?" The husky licked her hand. On what might have been the 6th or 7th day, Jack woke to the sound of Emily crying. Not panicked crying. Soft, resigned crying. The crying of a child who had accepted the unacceptable. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. Tried to move, but his body was frozen, locked in place. Only his eyes would move, tracking Emily as she sat by the dying fire. Ghost was watching him. The dog's eyes seemed sad somehow, human somehow. "Not yet," Jack thought desperately. "Not yet, please. She's too young. She needs more time, please." Ghost stood, walked over to Jack, pressed his cold nose against Jack's burning forehead. And Jack felt new. "I'm here. She won't be alone." Then the dog went to Emily and took her hand gently in his mouth. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. "What is it?" Ghost pulled, tugged at her hand, pulled again. "You want me to come with you?" The dog's tail wagged once. Emily looked back at Jack. "Daddy." Jack tried to speak, to tell her to stay, to keep the fire burning, to wait for rescue. But his body wouldn't obey, wouldn't move. The only thing that worked was his eyes, and Emily was too far away to read them. Ghost tugged again, more insistently. "Okay," Emily said softly. "Okay, Ghost, I'm coming." She wrapped the space blanket around herself, added extra branches to the fire, touched Jack's face with a hand that trembled. "I'll be right back, Daddy, I promise." Then she followed Ghost out into the white, and Jack was alone. The rescue helicopter found the crash site 8 days after the emergency locator signal first activated. Weather had delayed them, grounded them, fought them every mile. The pilot hadn't expected to find anyone alive. "There," the spotter pointed. "Smoke, I see smoke." They set down in the narrow valley. 2 rescuers jumped out before the skids touched snow, running toward the evergreen tree with the makeshift shelter beneath it. They found Emily Morrison curled beneath the branches, wrapped in a space blanket, a small fire still smoldering. Her eyes were closed. Her lips were blue. For one terrible moment, they thought they were too late. Then one of the rescuers saw her chest move, saw her fingers twitch, and saw what she was clutching, thick gray and white fur, still warm, still somehow generating heat in the -30 cold. "Jesus Christ," breathed the lead rescuer. "She's got a dog with her." They lifted Emily carefully. The dog, a husky with mismatched eyes, stayed pressed against her side, refusing to leave. They didn't try to separate them. The girl was hypothermic, dehydrated, frostbitten, but alive. Alive because of the shelter, the fire, and the animal heat keeping her core temperature just high enough to survive. "Check for others," the lead called. They searched, found the burned-out plane wreckage 50 yards away, found blood in the snow leading to the shelter, found evidence of a compound fracture, infection, fever. But no body, no sign of the father except for gouges in the snow leading away into the wilderness, as if something had dragged him. Or as if he'd crawled away to die alone, to spare his daughter the sight. Here, one rescuer was bent over something in the shelter. Phone, still here. The screen was shattered, but when they pressed the button, it flickered to life. Battery at 0%, running on vapor and will. Voice messages, dozens of them. They listened. Heard a father's last words to his daughter. Heard recordings that should have been impossible. Messages timestamped days 4, 5, 6, 7. Messages recorded long after the medical examiner would later determine Jack Morrison had almost certainly died, based on the severity of his injuries and the infection timeline. Messages that talked about a dog named Ghost, about miracles, about love showing up when you needed it most. "That's not possible," one rescuer whispered. "The fracture, the infection, he couldn't have lived past day 3, 4 at most." But the messages were there, time-stamped, dated, impossible and real. They loaded Emily and the husky into the helicopter. The dog wouldn't leave her side, those strange eyes watching everyone with unnerving intelligence. One of the rescuers reached out to pet him. The dog was burning hot, feverish hot, as if fighting off some terrible infection himself. "We should get him checked out too," someone said. "Make sure he's okay." The helicopter lifted off. Through the window, Emily stirred, opened her eyes, saw the rescuers, saw the white world falling away below. "Ghost," she whispered. The husky was there, pressed against her, warm and solid. "Found her like this," a rescuer explained to the pilot. "Kid and dog both barely alive. The father didn't make it. We'll go back for the body once we get her stable." But when they returned 6 hours later with a recovery team, they found nothing. No body, no tracks leading away. Just disturbed snow and blood and pieces of a phone that had somehow recorded messages from a dead man. And in the shelter beneath the evergreen, where Emily and the dog had lain, the snow was melted in the shape of 3 bodies. Not 2. 3. 2 weeks later, in an Anchorage hospital, Emily Morrison held her father's phone. The doctors had recovered the voice messages, downloaded them, saved them. She listened to them every night, her small hand resting on Ghost's head. The husky never left her side. The hospital made an exception, let him stay. They tried to separate them once, and Emily had screamed until she couldn't breathe. So Ghost stayed. "The dog's sick," a veterinarian told Emily's aunt and new guardian. "His organs are failing. I don't know how he's still alive, honestly. It's like he's holding on for something." Emily knew. She whispered it to Ghost every night. "It's okay. You can go. You saved me. You can go home now." But Ghost stayed. Stayed through physical therapy, through trauma counseling, through the long, slow process of learning to live in a world without her father. Until one night, 3 months after the crash, Emily fell asleep listening to her father's voice. "I love you, baby girl. I love you so much, more than all the stars." And when she woke, Ghost was gone. Simply gone, though the door had been closed, the windows shut. Gone like he'd never existed, except for the depression in the hospital bed beside her where he'd lain, and the fur she still clutched in her hand, and the warmth that remained in the air like a blessing. The nurses said a door must have been left open, that the dog had wandered off. They searched the hospital, the grounds, the city. But Emily knew better. She knew where Ghost had gone, knew who he'd really been. She went to the window and looked up at the night sky. Found Orion, the hunter, bright and eternal in the darkness. And beside the great warrior she saw a new star, or maybe it had always been there and she just never noticed before. a star that seemed to burn with two colors, one blue, one brown, like mismatched eyes, like a ghost in the white. "Thank you, Daddy," Emily whispered to the stars. "Thank you for not leaving me alone." The star, the ghost, the love that refused to die twinkled once. And in the cold Alaskan night, Emily Morrison smiled and felt warm. The official report stated that Jack Morrison died within 72 hours of the crash from complications of a compound fracture and infection. It stated that his daughter survived due to the emergency supplies, her own resourcefulness, and the inexplicable appearance of a stray husky that provided warmth and protection. It did not explain the voice messages recorded after the estimated time of death. It did not explain where the husky came from or where it went. Some mysteries are not meant to be solved. Some miracles are not meant to be explained. Some ghosts walk on four legs and save little girls and disappear into the stars where they belong. And some love is so strong, so true, so pure that death itself steps aside and says, "Not yet. She needs you still." Not yet.